I've never seen The Lord of the Rings The Two Towers, which might be a confusing position for you, the viewer, if you haven't already seen that I haven't seen Lord of the Rings The Fellowship of the Ring. I mean, I have seen it now, but I hadn't when I made that video, which is the first part of this video series, this being the second part, in which I watched the entire trilogy for the first time, going in completely blind, to just enjoy it as if I was an audience member back in the day. Free of fan opinions and the general consensus on the movies now, because I know next to all about Lord of the Rings, other than that it's definitely not the one with the White Walkers in. We're all following, right? No, fantastic. I'm just going to go ahead and watch The Two Towers and tell you what I thought of it. So this one starts off in a really satisfying way by showing us more of the Gandalf-Balrog fight. Watching Gandalf zip through the air, stabbing the monster as they both fall was something I did not think I'd see, but it's a great idea. It re-establishes events we've already seen so we're familiar with the story, something crucial when audiences had to wait a year to see what happened next, but then it goes the extra mile to show us something we hadn't already seen. Meaning that even if we didn't have a pitch-perfect recollection of that moment from Fellowship, we won't be bored seeing it again. Plus that meandering, impossible camera shot tracking the battle is really freaking cool, and I don't usually dig that kind of movement. But awesomeness aside, it brought up new questions for me. Up until that point it seemed like Gandalf was immensely powerful, but his body could be hurt in regular human ways, like he bled when Saruman flung him around the room, for example. At the start of Towers, he's riding this fiery demon, person, and I'm like, is he superhuman? Is he just incredibly durable? Well, I mean, he bled here, so no? Is he impervious to heat? Because surely fighting this guy is the equivalent of getting cozy with a gigantic light bulb. I mean, that's gonna burn, bro. It doesn't really matter in terms of my enjoyment of the story, but I think it's fair to say that Gandalf's limits are pretty ill-defined. I think it's in part because my allegiances lie so heavily with science fiction, which trains you to be satisfied as long as you get an answer, no matter how techno-babbly and bullshit it may seem.
I reversed the polarity of the neutron flow.
Reverse the polarity?
He's reversed the polarity!
I just reversed the polarity.
Reverse the polarity of the neutron flow.
We're both reversing the polarity. Yes, I know that. There's two of us. I'm reversing it, you're reversing it back again. We're confusing the polarity.
Yeah, sure. Over here in Fantasyland Magic World, it's just magic and you've just got to go with it, and I'm on board, it's fine. It's good. On the subject of Gandalf Resurrection itself, this played really weirdly for me. So, I knew that he dies and comes back in this movie as Gandalf the White. That was the long and short of it. I was expecting him to come back, that wasn't a surprise at all. It was more the manner in which it was told that felt odd to me. Not necessarily bad, just a bit unnecessary. Like, the movie starts off with Gandalf falling off the edge as we saw in Fellowship, except we now learn that it wasn't the end for the wizard as he continued fighting the creature, surfing that Balrog wave all the way to the bottom. So as I'm watching it I'm thinking, gnarly waves dude, but also, so he doesn't literally die and come back to life. You just think he's dead, and then he reveals that he survived the fight. That's cool, but no, it turns out he does survive his first on-screen death, only to continue fighting and die later? And then he literally comes back from the dead. I don't know guys, it just sounds like a lot of busy work here. Either he dies from the fall and comes back, or he continues fighting the Balrog and surprises the Fellowship with his survival. Having both is odd to me. As per my last video, I have no idea if that's a straight recreation of the book, or that's something that's been added or changed, so I have no clue if it's handled any differently there. I'm sure one of you will let me know in the comments. I can't decide if I'm a summer or a winter when it comes to Gandalf. I mean, the white look is obviously meant to signify an upgrade, and he's got that sweet, smooth new staff, and I usually really dig all white outfits in sci-fi fantasy stuff, but I don't know, that grey look was pretty definitive, and I liked the grungier, dirtier look for Gandalf. There was something quite charming about that, and what happened to his sweet hat? Gandalf the White doesn't get a hat? Come on, that's some bullshit. Completes the look. Don't you know anything about fashion, Gandalf? Oh, so you're too good for hats now. Is that how it is? Is that how it is, you motherfucker? The opening is a neat way of re-establishing everything.
Mordor. The one place in Middle-earth we don't want to see any closer. The one place we're trying to get to.
You get caught up to speed with where everyone is at, what their situations are, and where they need to get to. It does it subtly enough that it feels like you've simply switched discs on Fellowship of the Ring, and the movie has just continued on. Watching them in a short time span makes this fact all the more satisfying, which I can only imagine was even more awesome in early 2003, when you finally got the VHS/DVD copy of Towers to go along with your VHS/DVD copy of Fellowship from the previous year. I haven't had to say VHS in such a long time, that was weird. At this point I should probably make a little confession. I stuck this on shortly after I watched Fellowship, and I enjoyed it, but as a first viewing it was kind of a mixed bag for me. It started off with way more things all going on at once. We know who everybody is and what the aim is here, so there's no need to set anything up. Beyond introducing the characters again for the audience, we are off to the races. This felt quite exciting, and at the start of the viewing I was pretty convinced that this would be better than Fellowship, but by the time I was halfway in I found myself losing interest in places, which was something that just did not occur at all watching part 1. I think the problem with this one is that because there's so many different story strands, it can potentially get exhausting far quicker than in the previous entry. Fellowship might be a long haul too, but it's very focused on Frodo's journey, and the way in which we meet everyone is through that perspective, keeping everything wound tight and focused. Whereas in Towers, I found myself getting bored whenever the other hobbits were talking to Groot. I know he's called Treebeard, don't at me. Consistently, the thread I was most drawn to was the Frodo, Sam, Gollum stuff. In what is a very plot-driven movie, these guys really did offer the emotional core that some of the other moments were lacking for me. I mean, whenever the elves are speaking, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, but some of this is just nonsense. Speaking of elves, welcome back to another edition of Legolas Has No Character. We're now 2/3 into the story and he's contributed very little. I'm starting to wonder if he's actually the Boba Fett of Lord of the Rings. You know, people love him and go on about him, but really all he did was look cool and do some cool shit. Then again, maybe Boba is a poor man's Legolas because I never saw that motherfucker shield surf. That was dope. Okay, and this bit is totally awesome. I'll go on then, let's have a reload. Then again, to counterbalance that awesomeness, what is this? I'm not disputing he doesn't kick a lot of butt, but he's just not very interesting as a person, is he? Anyway, it was about a week or so later when I finally got around to writing the script for this video, and I suddenly realised I needed to rewatch Towers to properly write about it. I'd left it too long, something which didn't occur with Fellowship, pretty much wrote that straight away, but I'm really glad I did and that I was forced into rewatching it to write, because once I watched the movie on its own terms, in a way detached from the previous instalments, I enjoyed it far more. The entire film breezed by, and I didn't find myself getting exhausted in the second act. It just reinforced to me how important a second viewing can be. Sometimes you can watch something and for whatever reason you just weren't in the right zone for it, and that can really affect your enjoyment.
What do you know about it? Nothing!
In both viewings, the Frodo, Sam, Gollum thread remained a highlight. I think it's because dramatically, they're far and away the most interesting. They have the toughest journey in the sense that they are the weakest characters, given the toughest task. The ratio of their combined strength and ability to defend themselves, compared to the danger they face, far surpasses all the other characters. Gollum especially, I find fascinating. The effects on him still hold up, which is nothing short of incredible. Although maybe that's because Andy Serkis' performance is so damn good, coupled with the fact that all of his scenes are impeccably written and staged. The 180-degree break when he's talking to himself is genius, definitively separating the two competing sides of his character, and thus making Smeagol all the more sympathetic.
Master? Yes, precious. False.
His eyes are at one moment hungry and frightening, and in the next so sad and sympathetic. Oh, it's so putrid the way he says Gollum. Even to say the name is such a horrible physical act. Also, I have to say, I wasn't expecting Gollum to spend so much time on the same side working towards the same goal. From what I had always seen, it appeared as if he was on the Hobbit's trail attempting to snatch the ring. It's far more interesting to see it play out the way it does in the movie, and it's no wonder why Gollum is always one of the most talked about aspects of this series. Serkis' Gollum performance is teeming with details that make him feel so alive. Like here, he can't just touch Frodo, he has to keep his fingers on the move, not quite stroking him but not quite grabbing either. You really get a sense of Gollum's loneliness through this, as if to touch another being is such a rarity that he's forgotten what it's like.
He's led us this far, Sam. Mr. Frodo, no.
I'm really enjoying the wedge Gollum is driving between Sam and Frodo. They're both right, he cannot be trusted, but he is their only way into Mordor. It's very interesting. Frodo won't kill Gollum because of his compassion.
But now that I see him, I do pity him.
Sam begrudges this, unable to trust Gollum in spite of his promise to serve the ring bearer. But they need him. Gollum is the only person who knows the way to Mordor. Without him, they're screwed. It's an interesting dynamic, one that instantly raises several questions. First and foremost, when is this going to go tits up for the boys? It's also a nice little payoff to this conversation with Gandalf from the last movie.
It's a pity Bilbo didn't kill him when he had the chance.
Pity? Do not be too eager to deal out death and judgment.
Potatoes. Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew.
That would sound really funny as a jingle. Someone should totally do that.
No one at home will believe this.
I love that there's genuine moments of wonder for Sam and Frodo. We're reminded, no matter how grave the situation is, that this is an adventure for the pair. They're getting the chance to discover lands and creatures that they've only ever heard about. It's nice to have a little bit of wonder amidst all the chaos unfolding. Speaking of chaos...
What is it? What do you smell? Man flesh.
Again, another meme referenced. Wow. Bravo, Peter Jackson. How did you know this would be such a popular meme? You clearly have your finger on the pulse of the cultural moment.
I'm wasted on cross-country. We dwarves are natural sprinters.
Gimli is just endlessly entertaining. I love how he's always got time to complain, even when he's complaining that he's exhausted. I can relate to Gimli a lot. This whole section of the movie with Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli chasing after the orcs. I know I said in the first video that I wasn't so keen on trekking places to get somewhere over lightspeed and lasers and but I think I'm just starting to get it here. I like that we're cutting to all these other situations, whilst the trio are just running. They're running and running and running, desperately trying to catch Merry and Pippin. The film does a great job of communicating the exhaustion that the trio must be feeling, with the full scope of the New Zealand location on display in these grandiose wide shots. It feels like an impossible mission. I'm pretty sure that was the toe break, maybe someone could confirm that for me. Again, the structure of the action is so satisfying. The last time we saw Pippin, it looked like he was going to taste horseshoe. We discover via Aragorn, Legolas and Gimli that the Uruk-hai were slaughtered with no survivors. The trio go to the site of the fight, and Aragorn uses his Arkham detective vision to work out exactly what happened as we intercut to the night of and see the hobbits escape. You could have told all this in a linear fashion, but the story is so much better for it. The process of information that is told to the audience is so carefully considered at all times.
The White Wizard approaches.
Like here, you'd have no reason to suspect that it was actually Gandalf leaving the scene on a great cliffhanger. Of course, I already knew it was Gandalf because this series is so deeply entrenched in pop culture consciousness, but hey ho.
They met someone they did not expect. Does that comfort you?
I just love how Gandalf actually modulates his voice to make himself sound like Saruman. Like, what purpose does this serve other than to build suspense for his reveal? Gandalf just gets it. Also, question, did Saruman once go through this same death rebirth process to become Saruman the White, or is that just more of like a bog standard promotion? Like, I like the idea that wizards almost have to perish to become more powerful. It's a little like regeneration, I guess. It's cool that the two towers were opposed as good and evil, and the setup for the trilogy is that no, these two factions are now in cahoots. It's like the equivalent of Yoda and the Jedi Council determining that Palpatine is way too powerful, and he's going to win anyway, so the Jedi have just put down sticks and they join him. Could you imagine how the Rebel Alliance would have been? This is kind of what's happening here. I like how accelerated the timeline is for this story as well. I'm kind of used to things like the MCU or Star Wars, where it's often years in between adventures.
Thanos has been inside my head for 6 years, since he sent an army to New York, and now he's back.
We, the audience, knew the threat of Thanos was coming and spent years holding more knowledge than the characters did. With Rings, Gandalf learned of the threat all too late, at a time when Sauron and Saruman's forces were already set to strike. It's clearer now that I've seen Towers, as we lead from one part of the story directly into the next. The clock is ticking. This story is hurtling towards the finish line, and it keeps it exhilarating and high energy in spite of each instalment having a much longer than average running time for a blockbuster.
I would cut off your head, dwarf, if it stood but a little higher from the ground.
Whoa, wait, hold the phone. Carl Urban is in this? I had no idea. Awesome, awesome, awesome. He looks like he's giving us his best Thor impression, and I'm here for it. Funny that when he actually turns up in Thor, he looks the total opposite. Oh my god, that was awesome. Whenever Peter Jackson touches upon his horror instincts, these movies just hit differently. Seeing Frodo hypnotically fall face first into the water is the kind of frightening imagery that you'd see in a full-blown horror. Hell, this is better than half the jump scare laden horror movies that we see year after year. Speaking of frightening, the Ringwraiths are back with a little air support. This is a great way to upgrade the capabilities from the last movie. If you thought they were unstoppable before, how the hell are Sam and Frodo meant to escape their clutches now? A lot of you guys asked me to talk about the music in the movies, and I was all ready to go do that this time, but then the Fellowship video got copyright claimed for using the smallest piece of the score. We had to chop it out of the video entirely to make sure we're keeping the lights on, and I gotta say, that really put me off. So I'm just going to tell you my top 3 musical moments, and you'll just have to imagine the music. My top 3 tracks in the movie and when are around 2 hours 15, the horns that sound as the ladders rise up, around 2 hours 26.
Toss me.
Excuse me?
I cannot jump the distance, you'll have to toss me.
Gimli, now is not the time to toss you off. Oh, Gimli and Aragorn are becoming my 2 faves, so this was great to see. And then finally around 2 hours 39 minutes when Gandalf joins the battle, but we'll get to that in a bit. This is my favourite bit of camera work in the movie. Coupled with Brad Dourif's wonderfully creepy performance, this movement around he and Éowyn perfectly captures the mountain control and pressure he is beginning to exert. Oh, and this is my favourite line.
Women of this country learned long ago. Those without swords can still die upon them.
Éowyn is awesome. Actually, on that note, the Arwen-Aragorn love story does absolutely nothing for me, and no, it's not just because I'm preoccupied with watching all the smashy. I'm a sucker for a good love story, but this really ain't it. I like the idea of 2 beings with drastically different lifespans falling for each other and coming face to face with the ramifications of such a love. Obviously I do, and I understand that the original books lead the charge for this kind of trope. It's just that Arwen and Aragorn, I'm not getting any chemistry there. Every scene between them is steeped in melodrama, and I just don't buy the connection between them. I buy the chemistry between Aragorn and Éowyn much more.
You've some skill with a blade.
I'm kinda secretly hoping he chooses her in the next installment. Even though this franchise is high fantasy, one of the most realistic aspects of it that the filmmakers definitely got right is that of course Aragorn has 2 ladies fighting over him. I mean, look at this swag demon. He's got the best hair in the business, and again that voice is so damn smooth, even I'm falling for him, god damn it. Although there's one character that has my heart currently. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gimli, son of Gloin. He never fails to get a laugh out of me. I love how proud he is, how he just loves to get stuck into a battle. There is such an earnestness from this character that I find him impossible not to love. Also, the beat where Gimli is stuck and faces mounting danger from enemies coming over the top is a great way of escalating danger and putting a character in a vulnerable position. I'm not particularly bothered about Merry and Pippin's thread. In fact, I find them kind of annoying. I like the whole Merry/Pippin convincing Treebeard and the Ents bit, but I think it's kind of a weird switcheroo. Like, Treebeard only really gives a f*** about the situation when he starts seeing how it affects them, but it's kind of stupid on his part. Like, surely you would have expected this deforestation to happen?
A wizard should know better.
Am I missing something? I don't know, I didn't really enjoy it.
They're here.
Frodo looks like me when I'm smashed at the end of the night and I'm waiting like a zombie for that sweet Uber to pull up.
He tried to kill him! The ring drove your brother mad!
Sam is almost up there with Gimli for potential fave after he did not hesitate to dish the dirt to Faramir. This guy. Again, unexpected that we get to see the fallout of Boromir's demise throughout the trilogy. I always knew Boromir would die because he's Sean Bean, but I kind of just expected him to be a casualty of war and that would be it over and done with. To see the shame he has conjured in his brother is an interesting route I didn't anticipate. The entire movie is really good at building up a sense of dread that was started by the first movie. It all culminates in this absolutely jaw-dropping third act.
What's happening out there?
Shall I describe it to you? Or would you like me to find you a box?
I love that Gimli and Legolas are still bicker bantering just as all hell is about to break loose.
So it begins.
Yeah, it's kinda cliched it rains as soon as the battle begins, but it's way too awesome to complain about, plus 10 points.
Legolas! 2 already!
I'm on 17!
Off Legolas, my boy Gimli would be totally on those numbers with a bow and arrow. An axe is much harder to use, alright? I love that even amongst this epic battle, Jackson still relies on crafting suspense. This isn't a slugfest, it gets broken down into the same intimate beats that have shone through all the other action sequences. Like here, when Aragorn watches Legolas try to kill the orc on a kamikaze mission. God, it's tense, and on top of that, they actually fail. That explosion is amazing. Pretty sure it's miniatures, but I could be wrong. If it's CGI, that's also impeccable work. There's a good balance in this battle of getting your epic hero moments and feeling like they're fighting an impossible battle, constantly forced further back into Helm's Deep. In spite of their best efforts, it seems all hope is lost.
Theoden King stands alone.
Gandalf! Cole! What an epic moment. Saruman's shit is getting f***ed. He's gonna be p***ed. Even though this is the second part in a trilogy, I like that it ends in a victory. You know, not every part 2 has to be the doom and gloom before the triumphant third installment. It feels earned after all the shit that has hit the fan since Fellowship, and there's still plenty to play for.
The battle for Middle-earth is about to begin.
Thank you for watching another full fat video. Don't forget to click that subscribe button if you'd like to see more of our deep dives into reality TV. Also, huge thanks to all of our patrons, especially Dr. Chike, Jax Merrick and Mike Nandu. You're all amazing. Until next time, stay